defender as well.
When they met 10 days ago, you did the game. 99-94, Florida in Tuscaloosa. We should expect more of the same in terms of the points scored in this one. Let's go to Jess Sims.
Coach, you played this Alabama team just 10 days ago. What are the keys to getting another win today?
I think, we won that last game because we rebounded really well. I thought we were good at getting to loose balls. Pretty good job taking care of it. I think those little things are going to determine the winner tonight.
Good luck today.
Thank you.
They both had outstanding seasons. The Gators 28-4, 14-4 in the league, the 2 seed in this tournament. Alabama 25-7, 13-5 in the league, and the 3 seed in this tournament. These are both teams that, if they play their best, can be the last team standing when it's all said and done. Underway, and it's the Tide who win the tip.
What a matchup. Elijah Martin guarding Mark Sears. Elijah Martin, a great on-ball defender.
Grant Nelson, good matchup with Alex Condon. Cliff Amore to Sears. The pass back through his legs, and it'll be over to the Gators.
Great read of that pass by Walter Clayton Jr. coming over from the weak side.
Oh, look at the Florida lineup. You could make a case for a few different teams, but does any team in the country have a better backcourt than Richard, Martin, and Clayton? And the big guys are terrific, too. Florida has really good depth, and they can beat you so many different ways.
One of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. You've got to lay a body on someone and fight.
Will Richard lays it in, and Florida scores first.
Just off that handoff action, and Ruben Chinyelu screens off Cliff Amore. He screens help better than any big guy in America.
Amore got a beautiful feed from LeBaron Philon and was fouled on his way to the rim.
Take a look at number 9, Ruben Chinyelu, right under the basket. On this handoff, getting downhill, he screens off Amore, so he can't get quite to the shot block opportunity before Will Richard gets to the 10.
Amore at the line for the Tide, a transfer from Rutgers, averaging 7.5 points, almost 7 rebounds per game. Both teams very deep. They go to the bench and they bring in guys who can help you win games in so many different ways. And the pace at which both like to play is just fantastic. This should be a great game.
Well, Alabama likes to shoot a lot of threes, but they get them off penetration. You have to guard the ball, keep them out of the lane.
And Martin just lost the handle, and Clayton couldn't keep it in bounds. Nate Oates, what a job he has done since he's gotten to Tuscaloosa, his 6th year there. He's already won 2 regular season titles and 2 SEC tournament championships as the head coach at Alabama. Won 2 years ago, won 4 years ago.
Alabama has 11 top 25 wins thus far this season, 4 against the top 10. That's remarkable.
Clayton pulls up for 3, around and out. Chinyelu lays it back in.
There's the offensive glass. Condon got a hand on it, and then Chinyelu corralled it under the bucket.
Philon, the freshman who was so good in the quarterfinal win yesterday over Kentucky. The assist on the basket by Grant Nelson.
Boy, how about that pass by Philon?
He had 21 points, 4 assists yesterday in a 29-point win over Kentucky. Florida beat Missouri in the quarters to get here. Look at the pace by Sears.
Just pushing the ball up court. Many people have said it, myself included. He is the Jalen Brunson of this Alabama team.
In league play, 2nd in scoring, 2nd in assists as well. Clayton into Condon. Nice little shovel pass. Chinyelu again.
These are the best passing big men in the SEC, maybe in the country, that Florida has.
And another one coming off the bench, Thomas Houck, who's a great passer as well. Nelson left alone, and he'll knock it down. The grad transfer from North Dakota State, only 27% from 3 on the season, but he's got the green light, and he seems to make them at big time.
Yeah, you don't want to let him get his feet set and dare him to shoot it.
Look at that. Look at the handle. A great look to Youngblood for 3.
Grant Nelson grew up in North Dakota as a guard. Now he's grown into a big guy, but he just showed he still has guard skills.
And Youngblood, a very good shooter, 38% from 3. Alabama off to a hot start. Clayton will try a three. And the offensive rebound, Richards spins, hangs, and hits.
Will Richard has had a fantastic year.
Martin deflects it and then takes it away. Elijah Martin to Clayton.
Good pass.
Right back out to a wide open Clayton, who knocks down the three.
Boy, the pass inside, that was inside out. And Philon went to the ball, left Clayton wide open.
Clayton, as is Sears, a finalist, 1 of 5 for the Cousy Award as the best point guard in the nation. Martin, and look at Nelson. Did he play some free safety back in North Dakota?
Yeah, until he grew.
Nice play to get the turnover. Sears up top. Amori knocked away by Condon.
Condon was fantastic in Tuscaloosa, had 27 points, 10 rebounds. He was great on screen and roll situations.
Shinyulu, the catch under the basket, and gets it out to Martin. Condon, just a sophomore as well, from Perth, Australia. Martin, the lob for Condon. Really caught under the basket, blocked from behind and blocked again. And it'll be Alabama ball when we come back. And Mark Sears may be shaken up. Definitely something to keep an eye on in the early going here today.
Alabama getting out in transition early.
And 2023, both of those games were right here in this building. So Nate Oates has already won a couple. Let's see if we can see what happened to Nate Sears. That kick in the left ankle, it looks like. That happened fairly early in that play. You can see after he reaches down, and it appeared to be the left leg that was under some difficulty as he made his way to the bench. Something to keep an eye on as Aiden Holloway has now checked into the Tide, as has Jaron Stevenson. Philon for three. And it's Micah Hanlockton who takes away the rebound. A guy Florida fans know this story well. Broke his leg in this building in this tournament last year. Was going to redshirt, but then the combination of some injuries to some other front court players and the realization this team can win a national championship, and he decided to forego the redshirt and rejoin the active roster about a month ago.
And he's already had an impact. He's not playing big minutes. But last night against Missouri, came in at 5 points, 3 rebounds, a couple of blocks. In the Georgia game, he had 9 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive end.
We told you both of these teams are deep. Sears working on that left foot, ankle, calf, hard to say, but definitely the left leg as he sits on the bench. Denzel Aberdeen, I know a guy that you really like, a junior from Orlando, knocks down the free throws.
These Florida guards, there's great depth at the guard position. Aberdeen comes off the bench. Urban Klapjar can come in and shoot it.
Holloway, an Auburn Tiger a year ago. And the open three will go down for Stevenson, an incredibly talented young man, a sophomore from Chapel Hill who's made 19 starts this year for Alabama.
He's on a heater. He had 16 against Kentucky, 3 of 5 from 3 last night.
Kentucky hung in for a while with Alabama. The Wildcats decimated by injuries, and Alabama eventually pulled away. Florida got a push from Missouri. Handlocked in a beautiful two-man game with Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah, Sherrill too much on the ball and nobody on the weak side. Just a quick slip to the bucket for the easy dunk.
Philon hesitates, can't hit it, and then working hard on the glass, Aiden Sherrill.
Aiden Sherrill's got a big body, and he can step out and knock down a 3 as well.
A freshman from Detroit, a McDonald's All-American. Aberdeen, no. Handlockton, they follow.
We were just talking about Handlockton's offensive rebounding. He started his career at Marshall and then transferred to Florida. And before he was injured, he is more than a handful.
Philon with a beautiful shot fake and a dish inside, and we've got a Gators foul going on Handlockton.
Just a really nice little pocket pass on that last play by Philon. Here's the two-man game, the little handoff, and Sherrill goes to the ball. There's nobody on the weak side. Everybody lifted up, and just the easy slip to the basket. But for Alabama, Florida, with some of their big guys, they like to play in drop coverage. They're not going to be up at the line of the screen. So the screener in any screen and roll situation has to set the screen. You're not going to be able to slip out of it. So screen hard should get the ball handler open.
Urban Klopjar into the game now for Florida. Elijah Martin to the bench. 5 guards, 3 spots, and just an outstanding deep group of players, both in the backcourt and in the front court, that Todd Golden has at his disposal. And you can really say the same thing for Nate Oates.
Yes. Florida's guards are as good as anybody.
And how about Clayton started at Iona? Richard started at Belmont. Martin started in Florida Atlantic, and it may be the best trio in the country.
Yeah, you think you got Walter Clayton Jr. bottled up. He makes a dribble move, uses a screen. What a play by Stevenson. He is on a heater right now.
Sensational drive by Jaron Stevenson.
He played so well in the NCAA tournament last year. And earlier this year at 22 points against Texas. There's some feast or famine with Jaron Stevenson, but he's really a talented player and can really stretch the floor with his deep shooting.
Second on Hanlockton, he goes to the bench. Chinyelu returns. And a 3-point play for Stevenson. And it's tied again, this time at 20. Less than 7 minutes in. Every college basketball game should be just like this one. Could you make that happen?
Yeah. Good luck.
Watching these two teams play is so much fun. Klopjar, and it's still Florida ball. As Martin returns and Clayton goes out.
Well, both these teams, to your point, I know you're joking, but to your point, they're both analytics driven. So they both want to get open threes. They want to get the ball to the rim, and they want to get to the foul line. They are not looking for mid-range twos. The expected shot value of that is much lower, and they both want a fair amount of possessions. I think Nate Oates wants more than Todd Golden, but these are high-scoring teams.
Alabama averages better than 91 points per game. Florida almost 85. When you look at efficiency, Florida's third, Alabama's fourth. Elijah Martin again.
17 points last night against Missouri. Is 7 of 9. One of the toughest players in the country.
Boy, Klopjar really sticking his nose in there against Stevenson. Meanwhile, down low, Martin has to give the foul on Amori.
Good job by Amori, setting the screen in the middle of the floor and then just rolling right to the basket before Sears hit him. And that's what Amori does. He's more of a lob threat. He's not going to score much outside of 5 feet from the basket.
Entering play today, Joe Lunardi had Florida as a 1 seed, the 4th and final 1 seed. He had Alabama as a 2 seed. Tennessee has beaten Auburn. And you and I were talking between games, and you and I, first and foremost, are both just concerned about the game itself and the championship here for the SEC. But big picture, there it feels like, you know, there's some 1 seed up in the air here. There are some things to be decided near the top of the bracket in the next couple of days as well.
Yeah, I still think that Tennessee's alive for a 1 seed. If they wind up winning this tournament, I like their chances.
I would agree with you. And what goes into this as well, of course, is Houston in the Big 12, Duke in the ACC. Those championship games coming your way later today and tonight right here on ESPN.
Boy, good defense by Elijah Martin to not let Mark Sears get the ball back. Just top locked him to keep him from coming off that handoff action.
And an inadvertent trip there, a foul on Ruben Chinyelu, his first. And he'll sit, and Condon returns.
Take out a big guy, bring in a bigger one.
Inbounded to Amori. And now Sears. Looking like himself. That left leg must be okay. In and out. Boy, Holloway had a good look. Terrific rebound there by Mo Diabate. Sears from the logo can't knock it down, but Diabate does it again, and the 3rd time is the charm.
Mohamed Diabate, the lefty from Queens, New York, is as tough, physical, and as good a motor as anybody in the country. He works.
Holloway the foul, but what a sequence that was for the time. Diamante doing the dirty work, and eventually Holloway knocking down the three. Sports Center on ESPN. Aretha, the guys looking at the men's field of 68 as the brackets are announced. Then bracketology with a breakdown of each region. At 8, the women's field of 68 is revealed. And a bracketology there as well on ESPN2. So one of the first things that people will be wondering about is who are the ones, who are the twos. Right now, 4 SEC teams are either ones or twos, according to Joe Lunardi, and I can't think of anybody who would argue that, to be honest with you. But Jay and I both agree there appears to be some room for movement. Klobuchar with a 3 to tie it at 25.
Klobuchar with a little handoff, then came back to the ball and got a screen from Condon. Beautiful.
And at the other end, Alabama back on top, 27-25. Klobuchar, a guy, wasn't playing a lot early, as it's laid in by Aberdeen. Boy, you want to talk about one guy. By the time you get there, there have been 2 more baskets made in this game. Aberdeen ties it at 27.
Alabama giving up the paint a little bit too easily. I know Nate Oates is going to want his team to be a little stingier in allowing Florida to get into the lane.
Aberdeen off to a nice start today. And misses the free throw. I was going to say about Klobuchar, and you and I have seen him a couple of times when this happened, got a chance to play and came in and started knocking down shots. Kind of just forced his way into the rotation. They had some injuries in the middle of the year. Martin and Clayton were a little banged up. Klobuchar got a chance and made the most of it.
Well, Alabama's doing a good job, even in transition with that double drag. That's hard to guard. And LeBaron Philon, this guy is a budding star.
Yeah, he is getting better by the game. Was the player of the game for Alabama in the win over Kentucky last night. Grant Nelson.
And give credit to Philon for that screen, but that's a big-time finish by Grant Nelson.
How the pass fake, and he'll return the favor with a dunk at the other end.
And Condon screened off the help defense again.
Nelson with the running reverse.
My neck hurts.
33-29, less than 10 minutes in.
How fun is this?
Aberdeen, the turnaround. And it's going against the Gators.
Now watch Philon. After he gives the ball up, he sets a screen, and that helps Nelson get all the way to the rim and right over Alex Condon. And then look how Condon screens off Amori. He wound up getting Nelson too. Screening help is something these big guys do so well for Florida. Chinyelu, I think, is the best at it, but Condon making a case.
Philon to Sears. Deflected by Richard, caught by Youngblood. Sears now the step in and kick. Nelson again. Martin tips it, and Richards got it for the Gators.
That's typical of Alabama. Get in the lane and spray it. They are a slot driving team. They're not just coming down firing it up. They are getting a piece of the paint first.
Clayton the hesitation. Richard had a good look, and look at the effort by Condon to run it down. Great cut. Martin the extra pass, and it's Alabama ball.
A terrific job by Chris Youngblood of not giving up on the play. Amori had to step in, and he didn't quit.
Philon still going. Spins off the back of the iron and down with it, Clayton. And Clayton still going. Too strong off the glass. Chinyelu again. That's his 3rd putback of the game already.
It's so hard in transition to block these guys out because Nelson had to put some pressure on Clayton. How are you going to get in front of Chinyelu?
As you mentioned, the Gators, one of the very best offensive rebounding teams in the country. The floater for Sears and the soft touch.
Well, with this drop coverage, I don't think that Nate Oates minds that little floater, especially from Mark Sears. He's so good at it. Usually that's not a high-value shot, but in this game, it's going to be available.
Clayton open. Got it. A 3 for Walter Clayton Jr., and it's a 1-point game.
This dude is a bucket. Just peeled back off a Condon screen. Talk about being ready to shoot.
First team All-SEC and a finalist for the Cousy Award as the best point guard of the nation. As we mentioned, so is Mark Sears.
Well, Sears has been struggling from three of late. His last 3 games coming into this one, 4 of 22 from 3.
Martin, like a fullback, into the secondary, drives and draws the foul.
He was a quarterback. How dare you call him a fullback? I got your back.
Amori the foul, his second, 12 minutes in.
Coach, you've been preaching the importance of taking care of the ball and being tough. How would you rate your performance so far?
Not good enough. I mean, they've given up way too many old boards and giving up threes to shooters. So offensively, we look a lot better. Defensively, we've been a train wreck, in my opinion. We can't keep giving up threes, these shooters, and the offensive rebounds we're giving up in there.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, he's not mincing his words. He feels defensively they have been a train wreck. He singled out the offensive rebounds, which obviously, you know, he talked to his players about coming into the game. The Gators are outstanding at that, but Florida does have 5 offensive rebounds that they turned into 8 second chance points.
But the pace has been such when Grant Nelson has to get a hand up on Walter Clayton Jr., you're asking a guard to block out Ruben Chinyelu. That's a tough task.
1 of 2 for Martin, and it's tied at 35.
Guy with the ball can get you some rebounds. Mohamed Diabate.
Got a great screen from Sears and a foul at the rim. No basket. And Chinyelu picks up the foul, his second. So what will Todd Golden do? He's got Houck in the game. Is he willing to let Chinyelu stay out there right now with 2 fouls?
He has so many different options among big guys. You can take a risk with one of them.
Hanlockton has 2 as well, but one of his starters, one of his best players, Alex Condon, only has 1. This free throw by Diabate, who's just a 61% shooter.
He's an X factor for this team. He's got the best plus minus on this Alabama roster. He's improving as a shooter, but excellent defender, really crashes the offensive glass, averages about 2 per game. I thought Diabate was the reason that Alabama won at Kentucky in Ruff. Just made so many huge plays.
Houck to Richard. Chinyelu steps out to help him. Nearly turned over, but Martin gathers. Now Houck driving, muscling his way up, too strong off the glass. Chinyelu yet again, and it won't go.
He must have 3 or 4 offensive rebounds.
Sears wide open. And a great play by Clayton. He knocks it out of bounds off of Stevenson.
The awareness of Walter Clayton Jr. He was a football player as well, a free safety. Recruited heavily to play college football. Just a smart play to knock it off Stevenson.
Will Richard has left the game. Urban Klavjar has checked in. And Richard has walked past the end of the bench and towards the tunnel, towards the locker room. Clayton knocks down the 3 to put Florida back on top, but something to keep an eye on, something obviously going on with Will Richard.
Jaron Stevenson guarding Walter Clayton Jr. gets some size on him. Still, he shot over him.
Sears, what a look. Stevenson open. Missed the 3, and it's Alabama ball out off of Chinyelu. And there is Richard, one of the most important players, better than 13 points per game. Walking under his own power, obviously, but has left the court and has gone into the Florida locker room.
He gets steals as well, almost 2 per game. That's top 10 in the Southeastern Conference. His steals come off the ball, while Elijah Martin's usually come on the ball. 2 really good steals guys.
Condon switches on to Sears. Stevenson in the corner, knocks down the 3.
He is an excellent corner shooter and a great find. Drawing the defense, Elijah Martin has to try to get back out there, but a great pass by Sears.
Second 3 of the game already for Jaron Stevenson, and how about that rebound from Mark Sears?
That's what it's going to take. The guards have to get down and rebound as well.
Driving by Condon, floats it up, it will go. Sears now with 6.
And that shot is going to be there. It's going to be tough for Mark Sears, who's still limping. Tough for him to get all the way to the rim with the size that Florida has. Just stopping short for that floater is a good shot for him.
Tennessee defeating Auburn 70-65 in the first semi today. The winner of this gets the Volunteers tomorrow for the SEC championship. Martin, what a move. What a pass. And Condon is fouled.
Sears so good at getting into the lane, and he'll keep his dribble alive, get to the other side of the lane at times and keep it all the way through. But a terrific pass to Jaron Stevenson, and then he just goes right past with a hesitation move Condon and shoots that little floater. That's going to be there all game long.
Condon misses the first. As you and I have talked about in some of the other Gators games that we have done, an Aussie Rules football player, a water polo player when he was younger, and now you see Richard making his way back through the tunnel, back toward the bench, so it seems as if everything may be okay for him.
Condon also a cricket player, in addition to being one of the top 5 rebounders in the SEC, both overall and offensive rebounders. Best cricket player in the Southeastern Conference.
Nelson. Holloway stumbling, Martin all over him.
Almost an on-ball steal there. The best on-ball defender on this Florida roster.
And a good play by Clayton. Knocks it away, and it's Florida ball.
That's a play Clayton wouldn't have made last year. Much improved defender. Boy, Houck has Holloway on him. Now they switch back. It's Diabate.
Klavjar using the screen from Houck. Has it taken away by Diabate, who finishes.
What a play by Diabate. Switches back out, knocks it away, stays in front of Klavjar to not let him knock the ball away big time.
And he's all over him again. Almost got another one. It's out of bounds, Florida ball, but Mo Diabate making a huge difference in this game.
Just switches out and switches up to take something away from Klavjar and winds up taking the ball away. And it's been a different game from the one in Tuscaloosa. In that game, the transition went in favor of Florida. Now it's in favor of Alabama. They are getting up and down the floor and cashing in.
Philon has returned for the Tide. And Aberdeen takes Klavjar's place for the Gators. Condon asking for the ball, and an offensive foul. Grant Nelson defending, and Condon has picked up number 2.
Yeah, he got that left arm up right into the throat of Nelson. Watch here. Yeah, that was just a little too much for the official. You can hold him off, but not that high. That's usually the way you do it when you want to get a point across.
It doesn't seem to work as effectively as I got to ask him about his technique.
Flagrant 2.
So 2 on Chinyelu, 2 on Condon, and 2 on Hanlockton. The floater no for Nelson, and it's down to Houck. Nelson a little slow to get up and grimacing. Martin, the baseline drive and layup.
Again, Condon screens off the help. He screened off Nelson. He couldn't get there. Easy path to the basket for Martin.
Sears really pushing the pace at the offensive end for Bama.
That's like 3 buckets the big guys have screened off the help. Another pass.
How did he find Stevenson? Philon. And it's going against Bama. A 1-point game with 3:40 to go as they continue to get up and down.
Watch number 21, Alex Condon, on this play. He's going to screen off the help. And Grant Nelson can't get there. Easy trip to the basket for Elijah.
This game, 17 of them have scored, led by Walter Clayton Jr. with 12. The only guy who hasn't scored is LeBaron Philon, who scored 21 yesterday for Alabama and is averaging 17 a game over his last 4.
My guess is he's going to score soon if this pace is any indication.
Both teams 16 for 30, 53.3% from the field. Both teams have already made 5 threes in this game.
Aaron Stevenson going to stick on Walter Clayton Jr. That puts some size and length on him, and he's had a terrific start to this game.
Will Richard back into the game for Florida. Condon playing with 2 fouls. Can't get the shot off. Good defense by Amori. Now Amori switches out onto Clayton. Left the 3 short, and it belongs to Philon in the tie.
And Alabama out in transition again.
What a play by Clayton. Just plain and simple took it away. Condon couldn't finish, but Howe cleans it up.
And really the first time out in transition for an easy one for Florida.
What an incredible steal there by Walter Clayton Jr. to lead to that fast break bucket for the Gators.
It's that free safety in here.
Yep. Off the leg of Philon, and it belongs to Florida.
Walter Clayton Jr. just grabbed this thing right out of the air. A terrific play. Just grabs the ball basically out of the hands of LeBaron Philon.
That's wild.
That's a big time play.
Yeah. Hanlonton has taken the place of Condon right now. Aberdeen at the point, defended by Holloway. Richard lost it. Stevenson ahead to Diabate, who lays it in.
Nice job by Diabate to put the brakes on and let Aberdeen fly by.
There have been 9 lead changes already in this game. Houck is open. There have been 10 lead changes already in this game.
Thomas Houck, that's his 28th 3 on the season.
How good is he going to be? How good is he already?
He's really good now, but yeah, he's going to be a great player.
Holloway. Diabate the rebound. Shot fake Sears.
Well, he needs to get one to go. He has really been struggling from 3 over the last 4 games now.
Has not made a 3 yet in this one. 0 for 4, but he does have 3 2-point field goals. 6 points, 3 assists. Out to the paint. And it's down to Sears, and the Tides run it again. Right into the chest of Aberdeen to draw the foul and get to the line.
Few guards are able to draw fouls as effectively as Mark Sears. The lefty, you try to force him right all you want, but he's going to get back to his left. He can put the brakes on, give you that little euro, change his speed, change of direction, and he's really, really strong.
Had a bit of a dip, if you will, in the middle of the season offensively. Remember, there was the one game where Nate Oates didn't play into the second half at all. It wasn't going well, but has looked much more like himself in recent weeks. Has had 3 30-point games in his last 7.
Yeah, 30 against Florida, put 30 on Kentucky. I think he had 35 against Missouri. But he needs to get a 3 to go down. He's not shot the ball well the last 3-4 games. But still, he's putting points up because he does it in so many different ways, and he's so valuable.
Analog to the Clayton.
Clayton's constant motion.
Every move he's got, but he left the shot short, and Sherrill down with the rebound for Alabama.
Remember, Sherrill can knock a 3 down.
Stevenson can as well. Got a couple already. This one over the top of the backboard and back to the Gators.
Just the pressure of this pace. I'm not sure it can happen with Florida, but a lot of teams that Alabama plays, they can wear them down over the course of 40 minutes.
Out. Good defense by Diabate. Can't get around him. Aberdeen open at the elbow. Can't hit it. Houck misses the follow. But there is a foul, and it's going on the Tide.
You cannot jump with these guys. Diabate did not turn to block out. He went just to the glass, and Thomas Houck just went right over the top of him. If you don't turn and hit first, they're going to play volleyball on the backboard.
Houck knocks down the first. The foul, I believe, was called on Diabate, and that's just his first. Hanlonton out, Chinyelu in for Florida.
And when you talk about this pace, I think back to the game in Tuscaloosa, 1 versus 2, when Auburn was able to beat Alabama. And after the game, Bruce Pearl said, really proud of our defense that we held them to 85 points. But he was right.
Yeah. Alabama, 90 or more points 18 times this year, 100 or more 8 times. The highest scoring team in the nation. Sears, a big reason why. Misses the bank shot. Chinyalu the rebound. Almost turned it over, but Florida's got it. Shot clock turned off. Todd Golden will use a timeout to set up the last possession of a high-scoring first half. A 2-point lead, Florida over Alabama, 17.7 to go. Word from Alabama officials, Grant Nelson, left leg injury, questionable to return. A big loss in the front court for the Tide.
That's a huge loss. He has 9 points, 4 of 7 from the field, but he's also Alabama's best shot blocker. But he can get up and down in transition, defends well. That's a huge loss for Alabama.
Other bodies, Amori, Stevenson, Diabate, but Nelson a very important guy. Shot clock turned off. Florida by 2, and with the ball for what they hope is the final shot here of the first half.
Here comes a high ball screen.
Clayton refuses it. Whips it past to Aberdeen. And Diabate down with a rebound as the first half comes to a close. We thought it would be 2 things, close and high scoring. And it's both right now as these 2 teams battle for a spot in the title game tomorrow against the Tennessee Volunteers. Jess Sims is with Florida coach Todd Golden.
Double duty.
On Cliff Amori, his 3rd. So he will sit less than a minute into the second half. Remember, Nelson is not in the game, not on the bench right now. Diabate comes in. Nate Oates has a number of very capable big guys, but between the Nelson injury and the 3 fouls on Amori, they're a little bit short right now.
Yeah, and it makes Alabama smaller. And Elijah Martin really went after Jaron Stevenson there. He's a strong guard as well.
Boy, Diabate just put his head down, barreled into the chest of Condon, and lost the ball.
Condon did a good job of moving his feet to stay in front, really sprinted down court. He's got so much ability. Alex Condon, his second jump is great. He can play pick and roll or pick and pop, and he gets fouled. He's the most fouled player on this Florida roster.
He's playing with 2 fouls as we open up things here in the second half. Richard for 3. And it's a wrestling match underneath, and it's going against Florida. Looks like Chinyalu.
Yeah, Chinyalu just took Diabate right to the ground, got into his back and just started pushing. Watch him there, middle of the lane. It's like a blocking sled drill in football.
And that's number 3 on Chinyalu. Todd Golden is asking for a review. He feels there may have been a hook and hold initiated by the Alabama player. Who was it? Diabate who was down there with him?
It was Diabate.
Yeah, by Diabate.
He was just trying to stay on his feet.
So the officials will go to the monitor to see.
Call on the court is a common foul. That plays under review.
That play is under review to see if there was indeed a hook and hold. There was a hold, but I don't know if there was a hook and hold.
To me, anyway, let's keep the foul on Chinyalu and let's keep going.
You see it kind of at the tail end of the play there a little bit, but don't know that that would reach the level of where they would call it.
Not to me.
And the headsets are coming off quickly.
After review, call on the court has been confirmed. Common foul.
Common foul, Chinyalu. There's Grant Nelson. And again, the last information we have, left leg injury, questionable to return.
He looked like he was limping right there just to get back to his seat.
Mark Sears will bring the Tide into the front court. 2-point game early second half.
Sears needs to see one go through the basket. Phylon. Good help by Condon.
Chris Youngblood with his second three of the game.
Really good screen by Diabate. Kept Walter Clayton Jr. from getting back to the ball.
Youngblood, a guy who could really help Alabama from beyond the arc. Missed the first 9 games of the year with an ankle injury. Martin answers with a three for Florida.
Boy, terrific job to break up that lob, but it led to a three. You tapped it out, and that essentially served as the pass that led to the three-point shot.
A clean look for Phylon. He'll miss the three, but another foul underneath, and it looks like another review is coming. Terry Oglesby signaling they want to have a look at something. It is getting very physical underneath the baskets every time a shot goes up. Youngblood of Alabama was called for the foul.
That plays under review.
And it looked like Youngblood got his left arm kind of up around the neck of Elijah Martin. And actually was a little bit away from under the basket. So there was a common foul. You can see the signal there for the foul on Youngblood off to the left of your screen there. Is that enough to be upgraded to an F1?
That's more likely.
Next time, go Tiger snap. Get you the ball.
And eventually Terry Oglesby will put the headset back on and make the announcement.
After review, foul's been upgraded to a flagrant 1 foul.
So that's
Florida
two
number
of the ball.
15 will shoot 2 shots. Florida ball out of bounds.
Kind of the unofficial above the shoulders rule. You're much more likely to have an F1 called. Number 8 in red, Chris Youngblood, that left hand right there. And Martin hits both of them. A 4-point lead and Gator ball. A Florida win by 5 in Tuscaloosa just 10 days ago. The rematch here in the semis of the SEC tournament. Handlocked it. Richard in some traffic on the baseline. Tough shot.
Well, Will Richard is a tough shot maker. Really good cutter. He's had some great games this year. 30 against Georgia, 25 against Texas A&M.
1 year with Belmont, 3rd year in Gainesville. Sears driving. Blocked by Condon. Saved by Handlugden. Richard is fouled.
I mean, that's what Florida did to Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Really got out in transition. There were 2 things that were the difference in that game. We go away from a shot blocker instead of into a shot blocker. That gives them the room to wipe it away. And then getting it inside to Handlockden, didn't have the angle, but able to get it to Will Richard. And a really good little shot over LeBaron Phylon on the baseline. But the difference in that first game was transition for Florida, and then Florida's work on the offensive glass.
And Richard makes both of them. Had 17 points against Missouri yesterday in the quarterfinals.
They got Handlockden hitting Stevenson on the top of the head.
Third on Handlockton.
I wonder why they're not looking at that. He got hit in the head.
Boy, the first 2.5 minutes of this second half way different than the way the game began.
Yeah, it's been a hand-to-hand combat.
Clayton stays in front of Sears. Not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Totally different defender this year versus last year.
Knocks it away. Lays it in. What a play by Walter Clayton Jr. at both ends.
He is an NBA guard, no doubt in my mind.
Youngblood underneath the basket. Somehow found room.
Chris Youngblood. He was the player of the year in the American Athletic Conference when he was at South Florida.
Condon steps out to help out. Now needs some help. The cut by Richard. The pass deflected. Stolen by Stevenson.
Youngblood fortunate. He had his arm wrapped around Condon.
Youngblood a miss. Weak side rebound. Stevenson. And a foul on Richard. His second.
To make a move in this game, Alabama's going to need some stops. And this Florida team, it's a complete basketball team. Number 3 in the country in offensive efficiency. Number 9 in the country in defensive efficiency. And last year, the difference, Florida was in the 90s, I'd say, in defensive efficiency. Got beat in the first round by Colorado last year. I don't see that happening this year. They're a much better defensive team.
Front court and back court.
Everywhere.
Aiden Holloway back into the game for the Tide. Handlockton switches out onto him. Holloway misses the 3 and Handlockton the rebound. Four minutes into the second half, Florida out to an 8-point lead. Condon, everything but the finish, and the rebound to Sherrill.
He did such a good job of slipping out of that screening action.
Philon still hasn't scored in this game for Bama. 21 yesterday in the quarters. Knocked away by Handlockton. Martin off to the races. What a combination of speed and power there by Elijah Martin. And here they come again. What a move by Clayton. The finish for Condon, and it's all Gators. Nate Oates is going to let him keep going. No timeout for Alabama.
How impressive has this Florida defense been early in the second half?
Whoa! How about that impressive? Youngblood, no. Another rebound for Handlockton.
But Handlockton has been impressive in this game in short minutes.
Martin the drive and another foul. And Florida has taken over this game.
Well, we've talked about the improvement of this Florida defense from last year to this year, and the improvement of Walter Clayton Jr. From primarily a scorer now to a complete player. Help defense, getting a hand out in the passing lane and taking it the other way for the score. And then the outlet pass. I thought he was a free safety, but that looks more like a quarterback getting it out ahead to the quarterback, Elijah Martin. And then drawing the defense and the lob to Alex Condon. It's been all Gators.
On Florida's Walter Clayton Jr., outstanding player for the Gators. As Jay talked about, a football player in high school, got a lot of big-time offers to play football, chose basketball, played for Rick Pitino a couple of years at Iona, then decided to transfer to Gainesville, and he's a girl dad. Got a beautiful one-year-old daughter, Leilani. Walter Clayton Jr. having a sensational game here today. Look at the quickness with which he got rid To that ball. And boy, Elijah Martin's finish at the other end. Get out of his way.
Like Walter Clayton Jr. in this game, he's got 14 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals. And that's really, to me, the most impressive thing about his development since he's been at Florida. He's turned himself into an outstanding defensive player as well. Honestly, Dan, I think Elijah Martin's a big part of that. Like Elijah Martin, when he transferred in for Florida Atlantic, brought a degree of toughness and sort of everyday lunch pail mentality to this team. And he's their best, I think their best on-ball defender.
I remember talking to Todd Golden. You and I had a game a couple of months ago, and we asked him about Martin coming over, and he said, you know, we thought it would be great, but you don't know how it's going to be until you actually see it on the court. Well, everybody in the country can see that it's working extremely well. Chris Youngblood, another 3, his 3rd of the game.
Going again that ball screen, when you set the screen, when they're in drop coverage, Chinyelu can't get up there. And I think Alabama needs to do that a little bit more.
No Nelson for Alabama, out with a left leg injury. Phylon hasn't scored, and Sears has 7, but he's 3 for 9, hasn't hit a 3 yet. Wow, tough shot again. Aberdeen.
Mark Sears having to guard first Thomas Houck in the post, then he switched off on Aberdeen, and he's so strong that Aberdeen had to take that turnaround jumper.
Stevenson short on the 3, and saved by Chinyelu. Chinyelu having a huge rebounding game. That's his 10th. Now a touch in the paint. He is working hard at both ends, Jay.
They are just dominating the paint. Their size, depth. Florida just keeps coming at you.
Stevenson fouled by Houck.
Good drive at the closeout.
Just the first on Houck.
Florida has so many different guys they can bring in. They really don't take a dip. And we can't remember when you and I started talking about this, but you know, we're watching Florida play going, hey, they're every bit as good as Auburn. They're every bit as good as Duke. And Houston, they need to be talked about as the best team in the country. They're right there.
Well, the first time I think we saw them in person was in Lexington in the SEC opener, right? January 4th. And Kentucky beat them 106-100. Kentucky was healthy then. Beat them 106-100 in a phenomenal game. But I think maybe the game that showed the country how good, right? They go to Auburn without Elijah Martin, and they beat the #1 team of the nation, the Tigers, by 9.
Yeah, in that environment. It's almost like they don't have a weakness. You know, a lot of teams have strengths, but you can't find a hole in this team. Doesn't mean they can't get beat. Nobody's saying that.
Their 4 losses this year, all in conference play. We mentioned at Kentucky, lost at home to Missouri. That's back in January as well. Lost at Tennessee in early February. The Gators and the Volunteers have split their 2 meetings this year. Then they lost at Georgia on the 25th of February. How about Walter Clayton Jr.?
Down on the baseline, passes back out, and then moves to an open area. It's just so difficult to stay with them. It's not like Chris Youngblood did a bad job. It's just Walter Clayton Jr. did a great job. And he went baseline to 3-point line in no time.
But now, we'll get another look at this first as Clayton continues to have a great day.
After he passes it, he goes right back out to the line and gets his feet set to drill that shot. That's just so impressive.
The foul, Jay, on Ruben Chinyelu, and Todd Golden can't believe it. He keeps saying, what are you talking about to the officials? It's number 4 on Chinyelu. So he will come out and Condon will take his place.
I don't think he's talking about the foul. He's talking about how is that a shot attempt.
So Chinyelu sits, Condon returns. Again, the depth of Florida paying off. They've got Hanlogton and Houck and Chinyelu and Condon. And they rotate those 4 guys around between 2 spots. Aberdeen at the point. Just keeps going. Well, he's got a way of getting where he wants to get.
Well, and then he can go over Aiden Holloway. You know, Holloway's a small guard. He just bullied him right down the lane line.
Holloway 6'1", to your point, Aberdeen 6'5". Sears kicks it again. Stevenson in the corner again. Big collision between the two, and it's Florida ball. Stevenson has had a couple of good looks on feeds from Sears. Sears still unable to really get going from a scoring point of view.
He's been struggling from the three-point line for a few games now.
Martin sees a lane. Good job by Diabate to close it off. Tipped away and out of bounds by Holloway. With 11:43 to go, 6 on the shot clock, and a timeout on the floor. The Gators have opened up this lead.
Let's go, Gators!
Quote, our depth is going to wear these guys out. Both of these teams are very deep, and quality depth as well. But Alabama is down a man. We haven't seen Grant Nelson in a while, and since he left the game, Jay, the Gators have really taken control.
Well, Grant Nelson's a very important piece to this Alabama team. Second leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading shot blocker. He's a very versatile player, and without him on the floor, it's not just the depth that takes a hit, it's your productivity.
Florida outscoring Alabama 26-12 in the second half. The drive by Klajar, and back comes Diabate. Diabate still going and gets fouled by Houck. That'll be number 2 on Thomas Houck.
Foul number 10, Thomas Houck. That's his second personal. Florida team foul.
Don't forget, there's more great Champ Week action coming your way. It'll be the Big 12 championship game. Caleb Love and Arizona taking on the top seed, Kelvin Sampson's Houston Cougars in Kansas City. And you can see it next right here on ESPN.
Arizona seems to be peaking at the right time. And Caleb Love has hit some big shots and had some big games in his career, but he's going to have to earn everything against that Houston defense. Emmanuel Sharp of Houston was spectacular yesterday. I think he had 26 points. And he's fun to watch. That shot motion he has where he just flicks it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Diabate at the line for the Tide. Very good game against Kentucky in the quarters. 13 points, 8 rebounds, and a couple of blocks. And he's got 6 points and 9 rebounds already in this one.
There's the Iverson cut into a ball screen, slips out of it.
Condon bothered by Diabate, got a piece of it.
Tough pass to Corral.
Boy, look at the speed. I mean, a little bit out of control and then thrown away. Houck is fouled. I think it was Youngblood, and it'll be free throws coming for Thomas Houck.
Yeah, it was. That was going to be an easy dunk, but Youngblood just took it away. Boy, Florida's transition attack has been completely different in this second half. This looks more like the Gators in the way they played in Tuscaloosa to get that 99-95 or 93, whatever.
99-94. Yeah.
There's a lot of nines.
Thomas Houck has really picked it up here, and he was good before, but he's been great the last month and a half or so. Better than 13 points per game the last 10, 16 and 9 in the win at Auburn. And to your point about great passing big guys, he's got 11 assists in his last 2 games coming into this one.
High offensive rebound rate. He shoots about 70% at the rim. And he's easy to play with. Like, he doesn't need the ball to play his tail off.
How does Alabama get Sears and Philon going? Like, nobody's ever said this about the Tide this year. Where's the offense going to come from for them? Youngblood and this, they just don't look like themselves right now.
Well, they're being made to play in the half court. Yeah. Florida's made them into a half court team. If you want to run, you got to get rebounds and stops. And right now, you know, Florida is shooting a really high percentage, shooting over 60% in the second half.
Big to big, Condon to Houck. Klajar in the corner. Boy, that would have been spectacular had Richard not been fouled and had been able to finish.
Just a corner crash from Will Richard, and nobody was there to block him out. He was in the left corner, and they call this a corner crash. You're blocking out Condon. Nobody smashes down. It should have been Diabate trying to get in his way there. Just couldn't do it.
Diabate his third, and Richard at the line. Richard 81%, Clayton 85%, Martin 73%. The guys who have the ball a lot, when they get to the line, they're pretty good free throw shooters as well.
Thomas Houck shoots 80%.
Yep. As you said, anybody can get beat, but right now you look at this team and there's no jump off the page Achilles heel on this roster. There's
I agree. I agree.
Hanlogton closing out on Sears. Sherrill gives it back to Sears. Hanlogton didn't know where he was for a moment. Little guy on big guy. Big guy wins. How about Micah Hanlogton? Todd Golden is fired up.
Moving his feet, staying in front. Todd Golden's not only, I think he's really happy for Hanlogton.
Yeah.
Hanlogton could have taken an entire red shirt, but I think he wanted to be a part of this. And he is a big part of it. I mean, he was a huge part of last year's team before he was injured. One of the best rebounders in the country.
Klopjar got the deflected pass back, and he got fouled. And Florida just keeps going to the line. That'll be number 4 on Mo Diabate.
And Klopjar, you could see him taking over at the point next year when some of the players in front of him clear out. Because he's got point guard skills. You can't leave him because he can shoot it. You really have to force him to bounce it, but he's a really good passer and handler.
Has some international experience as well. Klopjar's from Slovenia. He has played in Eurobasket, the European Championship for the 20 and under group, and anybody who watches FIBA ball knows how incredibly important and intense basketball like that is. Not to say that this isn't, but that helps prepare you for things like this.
And when he's home in Slovenia, they say he's got international experience because he plays in the United States.
And if you've ever been to Gainesville, that's right. It works both ways. I'm not sure he'll ever be the best player out of Slovenia. We all know who that is, but he's awfully good, and he's going to get better. Richard. Yes!
Florida has just covered up the rim.
The Gators have outscored the Tide by 9. It's going to be Duke and Louisville in the ACC Men's Tournament Championship game presented by T. Rowe Price.
You know, Dan, in this game, Micah Hanlogton, who had that gruesome injury in this building a year ago, he's played 9 minutes. He's got 9 rebounds.
Yep.
He's been great.
Maury from Phylon. But there is lots of work still to be done for Alabama. It's 19 right now. A trap on Klopjar. He fights his way out of it. Hanlogton. Houck spins and hits. What skill.
So good with that spin move. Just great footwork by Thomas Houck.
Phylon stripped. Still hasn't scored today.
And it was Hanlogton who stripped him.
A cut by Aberdeen. A tip by Hanlogton and down to Phylon. Stevenson, hard work, couldn't get it. And again, it's Florida ball.
The challenges at the rim. It's so hard for Alabama to get a finish because of the size and length and want to of these Florida big guys.
Richard. Boy, sometimes he looks like he'll never miss again.
Well, he's the best shooter on this roster. I mean, the best scorer is Walter Clayton Jr., but I think if there was a horse contest, my sense is Richard would win it.
Youngblood, another three, his fourth of the game, trying to keep Alabama in this. You can see in the background there, 4 Gators getting ready to check in. Remember Todd Golden saying, quote, our depth is going to wear these guys down. He's got 9 guys he really believes in.
And the bench has made a huge impact in this game. Aberdeen's one of them.
Blocked. Both Amori and Stevenson were there. Youngblood again. Phylon hustling after it, but it's out of bounds back to the Gators to take us to a timeout. The Gators up by 20, looking for a date with Tennessee in the title game. It was back and forth for about the first 16 minutes of the game, but ever since then, it has been dominated by the Florida Gators at both ends of the floor, and they have stretched this out to a 20-point lead, but it was a 2-point advantage at halftime. They are flying right now. 84 points with 7:26 to go. Grant Nelson left the game with 3:40 to go in the first half, plus 21 for the Gators since. Walter Clayton Jr. and a lot of help. Mark, Richard, those 3 guards had 52 yesterday. They've got 46 so far today. Mark Sears not having a big day. Phylon still hasn't scored in this game for Alabama. The reason Will Richard is at the line is that Nate Oates got teed up heading into that last timeout.
Florida's defense, to me, has been the story in this second half. They've just covered up the rim. And the defense of Florida has allowed the Gators to get out in transition. That's been a big difference in this second half. And Florida has looked every bit the part of a national championship contender, every bit the equal of a team like Auburn or Duke or Houston.
Chinulu again with a steal to try to free up a lane for Clayton.
Now they got the switch.
Clayton hits another 3. I mean, he's just getting anything he wants and making everything he takes.
He just steps back from Sherrill, and that meant Phylon had to block out Ruben Chinulu. So even if he misses, Chinulu's right there for the offensive board.
Holloway answers with a 3 of his own. You know, you go back to the beginning of the season, and the beginning of the season seems like decades ago. So much changes even as quick as a college basketball season can go. Condon, again, another 3.
What do you do?
Florida was ranked, Jay, 21st preseason. 21st in the nation. Got into the top 10 in early December, and they haven't been out of it since.
And what do you do when you play pick and pop with one of your 6'11" big guys? He knocks down a 3. You put 2 on the ball trying to make something happen, and they make you pay for it. Clayton got the switch, just the step back to go right over Aiden Sherrill. You had Ruben Chinulu with inside position, then the pick and pop. And when you got a guy like Alex Condon who can play inside or out, who can handle the ball and dribble handoff situations, he can even use a keeper. And then when he sets a screen on an open side pick and roll, he becomes an incredible lob threat.
Florida is 11 for 23. That's 48% from 3 today. Clayton's got 6 of them. 5 other players each have 1. So 6 different Gators have made a 3 in this game.
Both these teams, I think, very well prepared, but Florida does as good a job as anyone is preparing their team for playing in these games.
Great offense there. Clayton to Condon to Martin for the bucket.
Ball movement is just elite.
Holloway short. Stevenson the rebound.
Of the many things you like about Florida, they can play at different tempos. They can play fast. They can play slow.
They've had 6 different players lead them in scoring this year. They don't rely too heavily on anybody as LeBaron Phylon finally has his first points of the game.
Yeah, they've had 6 different Gators this year have scored 20 or more points in a game. And that's impressive. And the road wins they've had is what's been amazing to me. I mean, they've beaten 2 number 1 teams this year. And they've had great road wins at Auburn, at Alabama. They won at Mississippi State. It's not easy to win in Starkville.
The 2 #1 wins at Auburn, banked home by Chinyalu, who's having the time of his life right now. And the other one was against Tennessee when the Vols were #1. Florida and Tennessee split 2 games this year, and neither of them were close. Florida won in Gainesville by 30. And then Tennessee returned the favor a few weeks later and won in Knoxville by 20. The reason that's relevant is it sure looks like those 2 teams are going to meet again tomorrow. Clayton puts his head down. And the foul call on Jaron Stevenson.
He's got that ball on a string. He's expert at drawing that contact. Got his shoulders just past Jaron Stevenson to draw that contact. And when we saw Florida playing at Kentucky, Walter Clayton Jr. was spectacular on the offensive end. I mean, he had 33 points in that one. Went 6 of 12 from 3. He was unstoppable.
Florida is on its way potentially to scoring more points in this game than they have scored in any game this year. Their highest scoring game was 100 in a loss at Kentucky in early January.
And Clayton's so hard to guard. I mean, he's a right driver, so you want to play him forcing him left, so you play him with your left foot and your left hand up, but then when he goes left, he just pulls up.
They're just so balanced. 5 guards, 4 bigs. There's always somebody ready to check in if somebody needs a break or somebody gets in foul trouble. Phylon, look at how hard he's having to work. Diabate kicks it out. Youngblood to the corner. Phylon there. Clayton the rebound.
The other thing about Florida, Dan, that impresses me of the many things, and they don't seem to care who gets the credit.
Yeah.
And they each do their jobs. I think that they can certainly break out of roles when they have to, but they seem to take great pleasure in watching each other have success.
Out. The turnaround. And Stevenson has it knocked away. Chinyalu. If it's Chinyalu, he has fouled out of the game, but just 3:38 remaining in what is now a 22-point lead for the Florida Gus, pulled away from the tie.
Florida 57% from the field in the second half, holding Alabama to just 29%, 8 of 27 for the Tide. And look, the story in one regard has been Walter Clayton Jr. He's got 22 points, 6 of 11 from 3. But how about these stat lines from Will Richard and Elijah Martin? They each have 16 points. Richard is 5 of 7 from the field. Martin 5 of 6. That's pretty efficient.
Yep. And the 3 guards are combined 12 of 14 from the free throw line as well. Condon. And a chance for 3.
Just a little horn set. Looked like he's going to set a ball screen. He goes out of it, goes right to the basket. Chris Youngblood just had to foul him. That's the mobility of Alex Condon. It looks like he's going to set a ball screen. He just goes right out of it. And now Youngblood's trailing him, has to foul him. Still, he gets it to go. He landed hard. Hopefully he's okay.
Alex Condon at the line for 1 shot.
There's 3:22 to go. This is going to be their 100th point.
Yep.
That's amazing.
This will match. Eventually, still at 99. Again, 100 would match their season high. Mark Sears, by the way, hasn't been in the game for a while for Alabama. Don't know if Nate Oates is just saying, hey, it's done. Not going to send him out there. More games coming beginning next week. Diabate with a basket.
Yeah, I know this is not a happy time for Alabama. They wanted to come in here and win this tournament. But now that this is basically decided, it's not all bad that Alabama gets to go home, get a little extra rest before the tournament starts. Because one thing that's going to make everybody feel better in the Southeastern Conference is they get to see somebody new in the NCAA tournament.
Although maybe just for a couple of rounds, then they might start playing each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think, too, this would lock Alabama into a 2 seed, right? So if you're thinking about 1 seeds, Again, Joe Lunardi heading into play today. His 4-1 seeds were Auburn, Houston, Duke, and Florida. I would think Auburn is still a 1 seed in spite of the loss with the body of work they've put up. Florida, Tennessee is very interesting. And then, of course, you've got to wait and see what happens with Houston in the Big 12 and Duke in the ACC. Those title games coming up on ESPN later tonight. And now the ovations begin. Some of the starters coming out, and they're all going to get a hug from their coach.
Yeah, to your point about 1 seeds, I think Auburn is going to be the #1 overall seed.
Yeah.
And I think both Duke and Houston have #1 seeds locked up.
So then does it come down, in your mind, does it come down to the winner of the championship game here tomorrow?
It could. It could. You know, I think that's the only question. Is it going to be Florida or Tennessee? And I think Florida has a leg up. Like if it were decided after these 2 games, I think it would be Florida. But if Tennessee can get a win in the title game, maybe that makes a difference.
Here's where things stand at the moment, according to Joe Lunardi. Auburn, Duke, Houston, Florida in that order, the 4-1 seeds. And you see Alabama, Tennessee, Michigan State lost today, by the way, in the Big Ten semis. St. John's also is a 2 seed at the moment. Things can still change between now and the end of play tomorrow.
With the way these SEC teams can beat each other up in this tournament, I thought that Michigan State might have an outside chance of getting a 1 seed, but not after losing to Wisconsin today. I think that ends that discussion.
Isaiah Brown, a freshman from Orlando, number 20, getting his first action of the day for the Gators. Aberdeen wide open. 102, a new season high for Florida, and that matches the highest point total in an SEC tournament game. Diabate, good work as he lays it in. He has put in a very honest day's work here in this game today.
He's a tough player, man. Gets you extra possessions.
For Alabama, the seed is one thing. The health of Grant Nelson is another. That obviously is, I think, going to be the first question, or the biggest question for Nate Oates after the game. How is Nelson, and will he hopefully be available when the NCAA tournament begins next week?
Yeah, and this will give a little extra time getting back to Tuscaloosa and getting treatment.
Thomas Houck will come out. That is Bennett Anderson, who has checked into the game now for the Gators, number 22. Holloway, no, and the rebound for Hanlockton.
It's got to be 10,
That
right?
was 10, yeah. 13 minutes, 4 points, and 10 rebounds.
And he got some steals, too. Knocked the ball away, and he's done everything.
Great to see him healthy and contributing on a team that could go a long, long way.
Well, there is nobody out there that this Florida team cannot beat. I know that.
The crowd wants Anderson to put a shot up. He does!
You love seeing how excited his teammates get over that. They know how hard Bennett Anderson and his teammates work.
And a new team record for most points in an SEC tournament game as well. And Bennett Anderson could say, yeah, that was me. You guys did your thing. That was me. What a performance by the Gators. They are going to the title game tomorrow against a team they split 2 games with during the regular season. What a matchup it's going to be. The Tennessee Volunteers, the Florida Gators, perhaps for a 1 seed.